It's Monday the 5th of April 2020. On today's show, we will be discussing Blackpool's demolition job on the Gills at Bloomfield Road this evening, as the Pool smashed down a marker on the rest of the division with a comprehensive victory and performance against the Masters of Shitterhousery. I'm Jonathan Norton, this is the Seasiders podcast, match reaction show. Blackpool 4-4, Gillingham 1.
It's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast. And the dog's just barking in the background. Blackpool 4, Gillingham 1. And Nick, you go and do the introductions while I sort the dog out because something's happening at the front door.
Yes, okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for that. Bloody hell. Good evening, Timothy. Welcome to the show.
Good evening.
How
good's that, eh?
Fantastic as well. What was it you said pre-match? That's not a team set up to win.
Yeah. I did actually prefix that by saying I'll happily stand corrected. However, I don't think that's a team set up to win, and I'm more than happy to eat my words.
Indeed. Good evening, Matt.
Evening, Nick. Evening, Tim. Evening, everybody. What a fantastic end to a glorious bank holiday weekend in Blackpool. Marvellous stuff.
Superb, wasn't it? I think we were all a little bit... Well, we were trying to think what we said for our prediction show that we did the other night, and I think we were all thinking it was going to be a tough afternoon, didn't we, today? But I think as John said in his tweet before, total football won out over anti-football. It was a fantastic performance, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, anti-football's a bit strong.
Stop talking about it now. He's back. Don't talk about it.
Someone at the door. What are they doing?
Delivering at this time. Dear, oh dear. Yeah. Anyway, you can go away, John. We were doing brilliantly.
But where did you get to?
We just done the intros and said what a fantastic win it was, and then we'll talk about the lineup, which I'm sure you'll be bringing up in a sec.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, how are you doing anyway?
I'm actually ecstatic after watching that. As I said, Nick just reminded me of my pre-match observation that I was concerned that wasn't a team sent out to win the game, and we may be looking just to contain. But I'm happy to eat my words, as I just said to the listeners before. So it's almost as a bad a pre-match prediction as your pre-match introductions are becoming. I'm trying to. We seem to get the
introduction was good.
You said it was 2020 as well.
The introduction did I think? Well, apart from that, then the introduction was good. Apart from the dog,
just too giddy, aren't we?
In my opinion,
just too giddy, aren't we?
I think we can forgive anything tonight, can't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Where were we? This interrupted my flow. Let's get on with the player rating. No, not the player ratings. I'm 4 beers in as well.
Over the place. Have you been on the fizz as well, John?
Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Right, yeah. I've had 4 of these. No, 5 now. 5 because I was nervous. I normally only drink in the second half, but I was particularly nervous in this game. But as I said on the WhatsApp chat before, I was confident going into this game. I said we'd win 3-1, and I said we'd get an early goal.
I wasn't so much confident. I just didn't want us to lose the game, but I think I mentioned on Friday when we last did the pod that they were certainly beatable, Gillingham, because of the way Wigan played against them on the Wednesday afternoon. And obviously me and Critch were watching the same game because our tactics were spot on. Yeah.
I mean, they've conceded a lot of goals this season as well, so they're not this kind of formidable force that a lot of people were talking about, really. I think,
they were on a run, though, weren't they, to be fair? And
yeah.
I think those of a certain vintage, if I can use that yet again, are still scarred by nearly after being 3-0 up against Gillingham and contriving to draw in the last 10 minutes. In fact, my moniker on AVFTT, the bit at the bottom, used to be remember Gillingham. It was like, so I think there's always a natural pessimism. And I think we'd all have taken 4 points if you'd said it in advance, wouldn't you? If you said you can have 4 points out of these 2 games, I think we'd have all have had that. Yeah. And our bank holiday record has never been great. But we're bucking the trend, aren't we?
We're smashing records this season.
Yeah.
Smashing records. We've smashed that. As Jeff Stelling said at the end of Soccer Saturday, I think it's 13 now unbeaten. 13 unbeaten. That's our best run since 1992. It's the first time we've had a player to score 20 goals since Andy Morel in, what was it?
06, 07, yeah.
Yeah. So we're breaking records left, right and centre at the moment. And anyway, welcome to everyone on the stream. I've not said hello, so welcome everybody. Is that an Aldi Lager, John? No, it's a San Miguel. It's a San Miguel. 13 unbeatens, Tom's just said there. Best in the league. Tom again. Another shout. Steve Evans has never lost a pool before today. So the baby-eating Bishop of Bath and Wells will be giving his players poker time after the game. Your bottoms will have wished they'd never been born.
Quality.
Blackadder fans, they'll know what I'm talking about there. That fat git who comes to check Blackadder's debts up. But anyway, I'm digressing. Tim, let's talk about the starting 11. Chris Maxwell, Turton, Thornley, Ballard, Garbett, Dougal, Ward, Embleton, Kai, Sims and Yates. So as I said to Nick before this game, I was a bit concerned about Thornley being in place of the Viking. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I didn't think he would be, is the short answer. I thought we would have either moved Turton in to centre-back and played Gabriel at right, or, and as we saw on the bench, the much-awaited return of Ekpateta and Husband. So Gretchen had some good company on the bench, didn't he, in relation to defensive partners. So yeah, I mean, the comment that I alluded to earlier, the comment that I didn't think it was a team to go out to win. I just felt that playing Turton at right back rather than Gabriel was, at the time, I thought it was a very defensive based decision, and I was also a little surprised, even though he scored a good goal, I was a little surprised that Sims was picked to start. And the way we might play in that, the sort of a sort of more 4-4-2, when we've looked a lot more fluid in with Embleton playing off Yates. So, which is what I was hoping would get back to play, but as it turned out, the 11 that went out produced one of the best halves of football you're going to see. So obviously the man at the top knows a lot more than I do.
Okay, Nick, let's come over to you. Your thoughts on the starting 11? Any sort of differences or any additional points from what Tim's made there?
Not really. I think probably seeing Thornley in was the one where we maybe thought Gretchen might be in, or Turton moved across to centre half. But other than that, it was pretty much as I expected, really. So, and I was, like I say, a little bit concerned pre-match, but it turned out to be nothing to worry about, didn't it?
Were you concerned with the pre-match bongs?
Yeah, maybe.
Matt, sorry to come to you last on this because Dave's kind of said everything that needs to be said on this. But have you got any additional points at all on the starting 11?
No, I think we just picked Thornley for the matching up on a sort of physicality basis, really. They obviously play the two big lads up front, and I know Gretchen had a good game against Swindon, but it was his first game back for, 9-10 weeks or something like that, maybe even more than that. So he was probably feeling it as well. Came off with 15 minutes to go or something like that against Swindon. So I wasn't surprised to see Thornley back in. My only personal thought was that he might have gone, as the guys I mentioned earlier, he might have played Mitchell instead of Sims, because they play fairly rigid sort of 4-4-2, and we've had, much success recently playing Yates on his own with the three guys sort of, behind him, really. So that was my only sort of initial thoughts about it. I wasn't as concerned as most people seem to be about Thornley playing. I thought it was quite a good matchup in terms of the physical, what was going to be against us, really.
Right. Nick, no pre-match bongs for the Pool or Gillingham in today's game. Both teams started like a house on fire. Gillingham, the first chance of the game on 2 minutes. Alex McDonald volleys over following a long throw into the box. And I think they made a little less of this, the commentators. The Chizzy and Colin Greenall. It was a good chance, this, for McDonald. And I was happy to see this get volleyed over. Yeah, target, really.
Yeah, it was a decent chance. And it was a long throw, wasn't it, which we headed clear. And then he volleyed it in. But you saw after 2 minutes what the plan was for them. Any opportunity to get a long throw in, and they were going to bombard us in the box. And you're thinking at that point it could be a tough afternoon. But yeah, he like you say, maybe should have hit the target there. It was a chance.
It reminded me of Stoke with, what was his name? That
Rory Delap.
It reminded me of them. I thought, oh god, here we go, a Tony Pulis style team. And yeah, we're lucky we didn't go one down quite early on. But Blackpool have come. We've not rested on our laurels like I thought we would. I thought we might start slowly after that chance, and they may come at us. But we've stepped it up a gear. 4 minutes in, Grant Ward's shot just fired over from distance. But then on 5 minutes, cometh the hour, cometh the man. I was saying when just 2 secs. So just before Jerry was chasing the keeper down. I was saying to myself, why is he wasting that energy chasing him down?
Yeah, actually, I'd spotted it. I mean, and just going back before I talk about that, I had the same concerns that you had at the beginning. I think straight from kickoff, those two big lumbering centre forwards were bearing down on our defence, and I thought, here we go. It's really it sounded really blustery on the commentary. So obviously, after Ward's just hit over this, the ball's in the melee in the middle, isn't it? And they're one of their midfielders seems to get a foot on it, but plays it back towards his own goal. And I had spotted it, so I thought, as soon as I saw Jerry there, I thought he isn't offside. And it's again, I've had this bizarre feeling as soon as he got through, it's like he's going to score. And where anybody else in that situation, you'd be like praying for them to hit the target. But he doesn't just hit the target, but he seems to be able to pick out the place he wants to put it on a postage stamp. And I think he makes it look a lot easier than it actually is. And initially, for in the short term at least, it really settled the fans' nerves. Because I said I just had bad vibes at the start of this game. I thought it's going to be horrible. I feel like the first game I was expecting a horrible game. Lots of aerial bombardment, lots of battles, and we did see some of that. But in the first game, the footballing team very much lost out. And as we're going to go on to discuss, our whole approach today made sure that it didn't. And it was a fantastic strike and a great way to start the game.
Matt, your thoughts on Jerry's goal and your mindset as he was bearing down on goal with the ball at his foot and just to keep it to beat?
Yeah, initially it was like, how did the ball get there in the first place? And I wasn't quite sure really what had happened. Obviously, I think Sims was half challenging, wasn't he, really, for the ball in the middle of the park? And obviously when you're there live and you're in the ground, you get to see everything. So Jerry Yates wasn't obviously in the picture until the ball moved over there, and he was like, "Oh shit, right, it's 1-on-1, brilliant." So I wasn't quite sure where he was, and then instantly when you think he's on 1-on-1, I have no doubts. It's like his penalties, isn't it? He's so cool, he's so clinical, and you just have no sort of fear that he's going to. Well, as we've said before, it's about hitting the target. He's at least going to hit the target or make the goalkeeper work or something. So, and to put the ball away and give us a great start, within sort of 7 or 8 minutes or whatever it was fantastic, because I thought it was going to be a bit of an attritional sort of a game. So, to get a chance put away like that at 1-0 early on, I had no idea what was going to happen subsequently. But yeah, fantastic start. And yeah, if you're going to have any player in the tangerine shirt in that position, it just has to be Yates, doesn't it?
Next, just come to you. We've not really discussed the validity of the goal itself. I can just see in the chat there's quite a few people saying it's come off a Blackpool player, it's come off a Gillingham player. Pretty hard to tell, wasn't it? From
it is, because you just get that one replay, don't you? And that's it. It was hard to tell. We'll certainly take it and trust the ref's judgment on that one. And I'd echo what the guys have said. When it's Jerry Yates through on goal, you're just almost like, right, which corner's he gonna put it in? You're not worried at all. And there's a lot of time for him to think about it as well. And a lot of players in that situation, they just end up, getting caught in two minds. And with Jerry, you just know he's going to finish it. And like we've said, it just settles the nerves, doesn't it? Because I was similar to Matt and Tim. I thought it was going to be a long, tough afternoon, and that just set the tone, didn't it?
Mm. A few people
I think some of the confusion comes about because the Gillingham player hits it back towards his own goal. So the natural thought process is that must have come off a Blackpool player. But it was a rather bizarre touch. Why he did it at the time, I thought, what the hell are you doing there? And he was very much he was facing his own goal, and he was just trying to make sure he got a foot ahead of the Blackpool, whoever it was in the middle, whether it was Dougal or Ward or whoever, and he kicked it back towards his own goal. So I think obviously we've seen Sean, who was there, it clearly and unequivocally says it hits a Gills player. I don't think it just hit a Gills player. I think it was played by the Gills player.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought he just got his foot up higher than I'm sure it was Ellis Sims in the middle of the park. Got his foot up higher than him and the other Gillingham centre half that was just behind Sims, and effectively played the perfect ball through to Jerry Yates, didn't he, inadvertently? So yeah,
I think Sean's obviously there, and he's probably the best placed person to tell us if it was the case or not. So I think I want to take Sean's version of the story. Yeah, but at the end of the day, who cares? 1-0 to Blackpool. And Tim, it should have been 2-0, shouldn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think somebody jokingly said in the chat before that probably the weakness in Jerry's game might be his heading ability. But it was another good move, and there was plenty of those throughout the game. And you've got a pearl of a cross comes in from Embleton, who had an exceptional first half, and Jerry's coming in on the back post and probably missed the easier of the two chances. To be honest, you would arguably say, and I think we were all out of our couches, thinking that it was 2-0, and unfortunately it wasn't, and it it came back to bite us on the backside, didn't it?
Certainly did, Matt. Minute later, Jordan Graham's levelled one for the Gills. Jordan Graham, a tidy player. He was their main threat for me on the right side.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was by far their best player and a threat all I'll say all game, but certainly the first half and part of the second half. And it was, I don't know whether it was luck or judgment really, but obviously he was on the right hand side of midfield for the majority of the game. And then Sod's Law, he sort of popped up on the left-hand side, and it was on his stronger foot, seemingly, to put it past Maxwell. And it was
a preventable goal, Matt. I'll just add
that's the word, preventable. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, really, because we've already talked about, did it hit a Gillingham play? Did it not? And we all hate iFollow for not having the second and third glances at these sort of things. And I wrote down in the notes that I did, I put mistake by Ballard, and then I crossed it out and put Thornley, and I crossed it out again and put Ballard. I wasn't sure who it was. So if anybody can tell me.
Well, which mistake are you talking about? You're talking about the mistake that it wasn't closed down, allowed to turn and get the cross in, or are you talking about the mistake where
the first
he was allowed to get the shot in sort of unimpeded?
It was the first one. So whichever defender it was.
That was Thornley.
Seemingly seemed to be close enough, and then just sort of backed off. And it was just a bit strange, really. I just thought, why has he done that? And then obviously the ball came in, and
I was screaming, get tighter on him.
I thought initially, like I said, he was tight enough, and but then he just sort of backed off and allowed it. But it's just frustrating, isn't it? Because it always seems to be against us, doesn't it? Where it's a one split second mistake and we get punished by it. And fortunately this year, so far, touching a lot of wood, we haven't obviously been that to our detriment really over recent weeks. But it was just annoying because you knew how vital, A, having the good start was, and B, sort of keeping hold of that good start. And it was just a bit of a cock up, wasn't it, really, by ourselves to let them in. But yeah, so it was just frustrating, like it always is when you concede a goal, but especially so, I thought, today.
Tim, you were going to say something? Yeah,
I think, again, I'd like to see it again, but I think Turton doesn't cover himself in glory in it as well, because I think he's the player that ends up on the floor when the ball first comes in and it gets turned. Then Thornley doesn't close down, and then Ballard's the man who gets beaten by the striker, isn't he? If I've seen it correctly. So yeah, you just always round. You're thinking, I think it felt worse because we just had the situation with Yates at the other end of the pitch, which could have made it 2-0, and we're all nervous. We all want to make sure we win this game, and after just taking the lead and after nearly doubling the lead, to find ourselves pegged back to 1-1 felt like an injustice. I think, really, didn't it?
Which is quite apt coming from your professional background.
Yeah. A few of them.
No tumbleweed required. If I ever release an album, that'll be the title of it.
Tumbleweed or Injustice.
Anyone buying it? No tumbleweed required.
No. Just stick to Phil Collins. Dear, oh dear.
So let's pause to take a breath. What a first 15 minutes of this game, though. Unbelievable, Jeff.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think it stopped even there, though, did it?
No, it didn't.
It's probably, without doubt, the most exciting 45 minutes of football you're ever going to see. Sorry, Nick, I interrupted you, but
no, I was going to say the same. I think the whole half, you kind of get to half time and you're just like, wow, there's just so, they were saying it on the comms, weren't they? There was just so much to take in. And what was brilliant for me was our response after that equaliser, because like you say, we've just had the great chance to make it 2-0 and they equalise, and you're thinking, is that it? Is it going to be another frustrating afternoon where we're looking back at,
I was confident though, Nick. I was supremely confident throughout this game, before and during. I was for some reason, not always.
Yeah. Well, you were proved right, weren't you? Because on, 19 minutes, there was the great free kick whipped in from Garbutt.
That's all you need to hear. That
Jerry gets in front of his man and a tremendous finish for 2-1.
I think, Tim, the comms team were kind of playing this down a bit. It was almost as if they'd given Jerry like a very easy chance. All right, he's got to the ball first, but he still has a lot to do, didn't he? Yeah,
well, do you know what it reminded me of? And I said it on the chat. It reminded me, and I can't give him any higher compliment than this. He reminded me of Pele. He just, the way he laid it off.
I think I've been slagged off with describing a Blackpool player as Maradona, so I don't know where you're going to go with this.
but the way he laid,
he's going to score 4,000 goals in his career at the end of this.
The way he laid that ball off to Embleton just reminded me of Pele in the World Cup final. Honestly, if you watch it back, you'll see the similarities. I just thought it was absolutely superb because he completely did the player up against, didn't he? Just completely, he owned him, didn't he? Laid it off to Embleton, who then plays Kai in with a great ball. I actually thought he'd slightly overhit it when he first played the ball through to Kai, but Kai just pulled out. I think it was Embleton. Was it Embleton or Ward? Anyway, whoever it was who then plays the ball through to Kai, and what a finish! Absolutely superb.
Who's binging?
Oh, it's me. Apologies. I thought because I turned my phone off. They're all
put it in flight mode. Do it and do it now.
I've got my phone in the other room. I haven't got it in here.
How come it's binging then?
I don't know. I've turned it off.
It's not. No, it's not. It's his butler. Telling him tea's ready.
Your dinner is served, Mr. Fielding. Where would you like to take it? In the study,
The drawing room. By the woolly mammoth.
Oh, the irony of buying that and getting it in your gaff. Oh, the irony.
I don't think my hall's quite big enough, unfortunately. It would be a talking point, wouldn't it?
Tim, it would be a delicious irony.
It would be a delicious irony.
It's binging again. Who is it? Stop it.
That's Scott Cadella's doing that. Who's on the chat doing it just to create
turn WhatsApp
a ping.
off. Turn it off. Turn WhatsApp off now.
Not even on WhatsApp. It's on my messages.
All right, well, turn it off. Turn it off on your Mac. It's doing me head in.
Come on, this is a professional outfit, Tim.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Press Command and Tab. That'll bring up messages. And while it's there, press Command and Q. That'll kill it. Or go to your little Apple icon. Go to Force Quit. And you'll see it in there. Close it.
It's like you've rung a help desk, Tim.
I know.
That's how I work in IT, can't you? We've turned it off and on again.
Oh, let's get on with it. Go on. I think I've done it now. I didn't know how to do that. Otherwise, I'd have done it as soon as the first one came in.
Right, we're back on track anyway. We're back on track. So Blackpool are now 2-1 up, and where were we? 29 minutes. Yates cuts the ball back, looking for Kai or Ward. However, they get in each other's way. Nick, I remember that chance. Do you remember when they both got in each other's way, and it was a good chance spurned, but it didn't matter a minute later, and Mr. Kai has turned up on the right-hand side, and what a strike. Phil creamed his pants when this went in. Creamed him.
He was on the left, first of all, wasn't he? Because he was involved down the left with Garbutt, and then it went into Embleton, and then I think Ward, Yates, then Ward played Kai, and who appeared on the right, and wow. What a move and what a finish. It was, as Alan Parsons would say, liquid football.
Kai had a foot like a traction engine, Tim.
He did.
He certainly did.
Come on, anyway. Come on, wax lyrical about this goal. What a goal. Come on, we can't leave it at that. Tim.
Well, no, I was, to be honest, I think when I was talking about this,
Tim was a goal ahead.
Tim had already skipped ahead to it.
Talking about this goal, thinking that's what you're on about. And when I sort of talked about the Pele-esque layoff by Yates that was then put through to Kai, I was on about that. We're not even listening. You clearly weren't even listening, were you?
I was, and I was thinking, what's he going on about? It was a free kick by Garbutt and a great finish from Yates. I was thinking, I've missed something.
Nick, I was.
I've got a goal. I've got a goal. I've got a goal. No, I haven't. I just got a goal ahead. I don't know why. I got them out of order.
Listeners, if I were you, I wouldn't employ Barkaboo Eastwood for your legal matters.
I'm still coming down. I'm still coming down from the performance. I think that's the problem.
Right, Tim. Okay. 3-1, talk through Kai's goal. That's the Pele moment you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Apologies, everybody. I just, I literally had it down as the second in my head. It was an absolutely. As I said, as I was talking about it before, I just felt that the layoff made the space that created the goal. But it's still.
You're thinking of that Jorginho goal, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the one I was on about.
I know it now.
Makes sense now.
It does. It makes sense.
I wasn't talking complete gibberish. I was just,
no, I get it now. I get it.
I was just completely out of sync. Thankfully, Yates wasn't.
It's like watching an iFollow stream, isn't it? 5 minutes behind.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. That was it. I was 3 minutes behind.
It's like Tim's at the game, but we're watching this podcast 5 minutes behind.
Fantastic. No, but it's probably the goal I've enjoyed seeing the most all season, and that's why I think that's why I was so keen to get to it. But it was everybody involved needs to take the plaudits. I think from the cross coming in to the layoff to the ball through to Kai to the finish, which was exquisite.
Matt, that's Kai's best goal of the season. What a strike!
Yeah,
it was from nothing as well, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it was. Just after Yates had scored the second, I was on the chat and I just thought, and I was typing away and I just thought, this lot aren't very good at the back. We could score 4 or 5 here. And I thought, no, I'm not going to put that because that is just going to bite me on the arse in an hour's time or whatever. And it was when we got the ball down and played proper football. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, because we played as many long passes really up to Sims and Yates as they probably did. Really, if you're going to get a tally count out on it, but when we got the ball down, there was definitely a gulfing class, I thought, today. And Ward, Kai, Embleton, Dougal to a lesser extent, possibly in midfield. I thought they were brilliant, and that goal was. I was looking through a few goals before we played today, and we scored a really good team goal, which Matty Virtue scored against Wigan away, if anybody remembers it. And it was 3 or 4 or 5 passes in there, and it was a proper team goal. And team goals are just fantastic, aren't they? You know, there's nothing better. And when you get a finish like that as well, it was just incredible. And 3-1 up, you know, against a tough team. It was never going to be game over at that point, because it only takes two long throw-ins or 2 balls from the goalkeeper even, and they could be back into it if we weren't on our sort of game and concentration levels. But at that particular point, and that goal, there's not many times when I've actually jumped off the sofa this season, really, and that was one of them, because of the importance of it and the quality of it. I
like that, Matt. A gulf in class when we got the ball on the floor.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. That sums it up, Nick, I think, today, doesn't it?
It does, and that was the most pleasing thing about it, that, you know, the football we played, like Matt said, it was just a gulf in class, and it was such a good team move. You'd probably argue it was maybe goal of the season in terms of the build-up play and then the finish. And it's great to do it against Gillingham and not get sucked into, you know, what we were saying at the start, this kind of battle for 90 minutes. We played some absolute quality stuff, and I think it just goes to show not just how well we're doing, but whoever we play, there's nothing to fear now in this running. You know, whether we're playing a side at the bottom, a side who'll rough us up, a side who play quality football, let's just do our thing. You know, and there's no reason why we can't keep it going.
We haven't mentioned either of them at the moment, but I wrote after the third goal, Dougal and Ward immense in the middle.
Ward today was
I think
they didn't give the ball away once. One time he did, and he got it back.
I think Ward was probably had the better game, but they were like a yin and yang in that Dougal was doing a lot of the dirty work today and breaking their play up and closing down and nicking the ball off feet. And Ward's distribution today was
it was like Southern and Vaughan, Tim. Sorry to interrupt your flow. Southern and Vaughan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I just loved watching it because, and I think, was it you in the chat, Matt, who was saying that you felt that Gillingham had been pushed out to the wings because they just couldn't get any. They couldn't get any traction in the middle at all, could they? They couldn't get hold of the game in any shape or form in the middle because they were just outclassed.
Yeah, that's right. I watched him, like I said earlier, I watched him a little bit against the Wigan on Wednesday night, and they were just they played quite narrow, so we were going to always get a bit of joy down the flanks, basically. But you know what it's like. I mean, these teams are. Well, not these teams. That's any team. You've got to win the midfield battle, whoever you're playing against. And Ward and Dougal, I thought, were fantastic today. Ably supported by Embleton and Kai as well. But those two in particular, and Ward was just everywhere, outstanding. You know, I mean, they just know when the right pass is to just do the simple thing to, you know, put a 5-yard pass to the left or the right of them, and equally they know when to pass it forward and just say, right, there's nothing on, let's just start again, give it to the centre halves or give it back to the goalkeeper. And it's about the difference. It's the decision making, isn't it? You know, and that's what I'm assuming that's where Coach Critchley earns his spurs, isn't it? Really, that's what the difference is between a good and a bad outfit, is making those right decisions and getting it coached right.
Yeah, there was a contentious moment on 34 minutes. Let's just discuss this quickly. Cliff's brought it to my attention. I was going to discuss this anyway. Gareth O'Keefe, when he's come over the top of... who was it? Who was it he nailed? Kai, wasn't it? Kai. What did everyone think of this? I think, for me, Tim, it could have been a red, it couldn't. But for me, I'd have been upset if it was a Blackpool player getting red carded. He had his foot up, but I think he didn't motion towards Kai, did he? It was just hanging his foot up there.
I don't, at the time, I wasn't shouting red send him off for anything like that. I think it's one of those, like you say, if it'd been the other way around, trying to look at it objectively, you would have been very. Listen, we've been there and bought the T-shirt on crappy red cards this year, haven't we? But you would still be quite disappointed if your player got sent off in that scenario, particularly in the first half.
Yeah,
so no, I wasn't feeling hard done to by the fact that he got a yellow.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say it was like he just had a straight leg, didn't he? So it wasn't like a forward heel motion or whatever. He was just a straight leg, and it just sort of hung out there. And yeah, I think a yellow was fair enough. Really, I didn't think it was going to be anything more harsh than that. Really.
So Stuart O'Keefe, Nick, has just escaped the early bath, and 4 minutes later, he's put a brilliant shot into Maxwell's bottom left corner. Looked like it was going right in. Was going to put Blackpool under pressure to, get the scores or even, 3-2. And what a save from Chris Maxwell. This was Gordon Banks. Obviously not the same as Gordon Banks, but what a save, though. How he got down and flicked that around.
Yeah, absolutely superb. And I think, we'd given the ball, it might have been Embleton, I think, just before.
It was,
possibly. And I was just thinking, this is in the bottom corner when he's hit it. And absolutely class save from Maxwell. Absolutely superb to get a tip to put it past the post.
I think, Tim, when you've been rating Maxwell, you've been saying he doesn't do, he doesn't do it. You don't kind of notice him in a lot of games because he's so consistent and so reliable. But in these big moments, he delivers the goods, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think it's, in some respects, as a goalkeeper, because he's been playing in front of a defence that's been so solid and not been conceding many chances, he's not had much of an opportunity to shine, has he? But he has great distribution from the back. I said we've spoken about him being the last line of defence, like playing the sweeper role. But when cometh the hour, cometh the man, and that could have completely changed the flow of the game, couldn't it? Because if they got one back, it was 38 minutes. I marked it down at, but if they got that back in just before half time, then all of a sudden, they're on the up. We're looking at trying to defend what we've got, and the game changes. And he just got down, tipped it round, did enough. And it was a great shot and, worthy of a goal. But we'd been quite wasteful in possession. As Nick referenced, I think Embleton had played a free ball across and it had been intercepted. And, we'd have been disappointed as a team if we'd conceded it because it was again, we used the words before, didn't we? Preventable. It was most certainly preventable, but the captain pulled the rest of the team out of the hole there, definitely.
Mm.
Matt, just come to you now. Jed's just put this comment in. Garbett saved as a goal too. I've not written it down in my notes, but I do remember that chance when they were down the left. They broke down the left-hand side and Garbett just got across to get a last-ditch block in.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
I vaguely. I do recall a good sort of block tackle or certainly a sort of a last-ditch effort. But
pretty much saved as a goal, didn't it? So.
Yeah, and this is what's so good about us, isn't it? That, players are putting the bodies on the line. They're making the right decisions, generally speaking. In fact, the last thing I wrote just before that, I'm on 37 minutes looking at my notes, I've just written in big capital letters, our mistakes. And that basically, you cut the mistakes out and they didn't look like they were going to score all day, generally speaking. And once we got that out of the system, I think that must have been gone back to the Embleton situation. Garbett putting his body on the line. I said about I don't jump out the sofa that often. The only other time during this game that I did was when Ballard made a tackle in the second half, which was just absolutely effing immense. It was superb. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? You have to, it sounds obvious, but you defend your goal. And, obviously you look at our record this year and we're just so mean, aren't we, at the back? And when you've got Maxwell in good form, I think he only had one little sort of foray off his line today. It was a little bit hairy. But other than that, he basically made the right decision on every cross. He made the right decision on a couple of shots. He just didn't really put a foot wrong at all. And he must give the back four so much confidence, whichever back four we're obviously playing these days, because we have had about 32 different back fours, haven't we, this season?
Which is incredible if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I thought he made the because I think the Garbutt one was another incident, but there was that situation. It was almost like a little bit of a reverse of the Jerry Yates, where although I think it did come off their player where their lad gets through on the right hand side and he's completely clear through on goal. And Maxwell, I don't know whether you're referring to that.
Yeah,
Matt,
I remember that.
Maxwell comes, but then he actually thinks, no, I'm not going to get there.
Yeah,
and he goes back into his goal, and it was the right call, wasn't it? Undoubtedly the right thing to do.
Exactly, and that comes with that comes with his experience, doesn't he? I mean, what is he, 32, 33 or something like that? You know, a younger keeper might have come out and, you know, been a bit rash and whatever, but it's about making the right decisions at the right time. And, you know, like I said, we seem to be doing that. Well, not just at the moment, for a long time now. It's good to see.
Take a deep breath, boys. We're on 45 minutes nearly.
Yeah.
We're only at half time.
I was thinking just how fast that first half was. I was actually fearing for Steve Evans' health, really. I thought the big boy's going to go.
He's bound to have a dicky to care, isn't he?
Oh, dear.
But what a half of football. That's hands
Breathless.
down the best half of football I've seen from a game of football this season.
You know what? It was. I mean, I'm not comparing it directly, but I've never been so mentally exhausted than since Notts Forest away. Yeah, seriously, and that's that's paying it as high a compliment as I can do, really. And I'd only had a couple of pints then, and I was completely sober today, so I was in a far worse state, really.
From Sean. Steve Evans was primed to pop before half time, the way he was melting out. Should have stuck a pin in him, Sean. Splattered with pies. Critch and Calderwood have been splattered with pie, semi-digested pies, and KFC and McDonald's. And Max says he went for a lie down at half time.
It felt like, wasn't it? It was like,
yeah.
Well, you weren't drinking, were you not, Nick?
No, I wasn't. No, saved it till after the match phase.
I had 2 drinks. Right, Tim, second half then. I mean, bound to be an anticlimax, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought somebody asked in the chat how we were feeling at half time about the second half, and I think the main thing I was thinking was don't concede a goal in the first 10 minutes, and that was, you know, despite my pre-match negativity, I was actually feeling quite.
Matt, what did you predict for this game, by the way?
A draw.
Draw.
Yeah, happy to be wrong.
So I was feeling slightly more confident, but I just thought, again, we spoke about momentum and with the Maxwell chance, and again, you know, if they'd got an early goal, it would have changed the dynamic, wouldn't it? And you know, I think I'm trying to think now what we had early on, but I think we were on the up again. I recall I've got a chance on. Not written a lot down for the first 50. I think I was.
No, what happened, to be honest, Tim?
I think I was
management.
I'm looking at the first chance I've written down is 61 minutes, and I think we had a little bit. We had a really good. I remember we had a really good exchange on the edge of the box, and I think we tried to play Garbutt in on the left, and it was just like 2 yards too far ahead of him. But again, it would have been another great team effort if it'd been a little bit further back and he'd been able to get a strike off, because the space was there for him to do it and it was ideally placed. It just didn't quite come off. But we looked. I think we looked solid in that first 10 minutes of the second half, which I think was important. And I think what we found is that in the end, Evans had to change it, didn't he? Because he realised that he wasn't getting anywhere. Gillingham weren't creating any chances.
I think it was Dougal and Ward, Tim, imposed those changes on him. They were just running the show in midfield, dominating. Yeah, and he just think he had to withdraw one of his lumbering strikers, didn't he? And change his tactics. So which is great to see, isn't it? You know, the team are trying to, you know, they realise they're just banging against a brick wall and they're going to do something a bit different. So I saw that as a positive sign. Normally, when the opposition are bringing other players on, it makes me more worried there than I already am. But by that stage, I was feeling
quietly confident because we just looked so accomplished all the way across the park. I think the important thing today was that there was nobody having a poor performance, was there? You looked at every single position and everybody looked comfortable on the ball. We were playing all these little triangles. We were finding feet all the time. And it was to be compared and contrasted with the rather prehistoric football that the opposition came out with, and it's great that Blackpool are playing the way that the game should be played and doing it effectively.
I think we must have, as a group collectively and certainly as a management team, they must have learned a hell of a lot since the last time we played Gillingham. I mean, not just Gillingham, but, there are a lot of other teams. The Burton game, again, I've harped on about it a couple of times now. We learned so fast, so quickly in that first half and then changed everything to that second half. And it just shows that we can adapt to certain things now. And, I know we're talking like we've been watching, Brazil 1970 or whatever, but, we're gushing about it because they were collectively just very, very good today. Everybody knew the job. Everybody did it well. Nobody let anybody down. There was a point in the second half about halfway through the second half anyway, when Ward and Dougal both lost the ball, when they shouldn't have done, but both won it back. And you just think that's what we're all about now, isn't it? You lose the ball, you get it back and you do, you start again sort of thing. Whereas, certain other teams, I just don't think they can cope with us in terms of how much work rate we put in. I think they're really surprised at how obviously fit we are and how much we work really hard. And, teams like that today, particularly, they don't allow you to play football until you can get control of the ball. And that's why I'll harp on about Ward and Dougal again. I thought they were fantastic.
Certainly were, mate. 61 minutes. Fatso's made his changes on 59, trying to change the game, and we've shoved it up him 2 minutes later. Elliot Embleton, Nick, has popped up with his first goal of the season. And again, what a goal it was.
Yeah, so it was Garbutt, I think, went to Ward, who then played Kai in, breaking forward, and he's rolled it across for Embleton. And again, another superb finish and a brilliant move involving several players. And just thought that second half, I think it was Bison's who said, we bossed it, because I was a bit worried at half-time thinking they're going to get a bit of a rocket, they're going to come at us, but there was just nothing to worry about, and that was just the icing on the cake. Another superb move, playing decent football, and a brilliant finish.
Kai's put it on a plate, as Steve said, and Phil's obviously popped up there with a Kai. A bigging up of Kai, but he's played brilliant. He's brilliant today, wasn't he, Tim? Along with the other.
Yeah, listen, we've all been critical of Kai's performances, particularly in the first half of the season. But since Burton, he's been the player that he can be, and I don't think we can perhaps compliment him any more than that, because I think everybody can see that there's a player there, but he needs to perform week in, week out. And I'd said in the chat in the first half, Kai's exceptional today, and he was, and he was, and I think Phil had made a comment that I think it's good, right, that we don't, when he's sticking right on the wing and he's only got one way to go, then he's a little bit more easy to mark. But when he's coming in and because there's him and Embleton, they're not playing really wide, are they? They're playing slightly more in the channels. It gives him more license to be able to do stuff like he did there, and like he's done at other points in with his goal and things of that nature. He's not hugging the touchline, and that doesn't suit his play, particularly when he's going to have to come in on his right foot, because he's easy to mark. So I think that probably that subtle. I mean, when I saw this, probably in my mind, when I saw the team today, I thought we were going to play a more traditional 4-4-2 with him stuck out left and with two up front, and we didn't. We were a lot more fluid, and I think Embleton is a big part of that, because there's no way he's going to hug a touchline. He's always going to come in and look for the ball. And there's an interesting comment from Chizzy, actually, wasn't there, that Critchley commented that he, notwithstanding his good performances, he was a little bit downhearted that he hadn't scored a goal yet for us. So it was nice that he got off the mark, because hopefully that's going to raise his confidence even more. And the only concern I've got is that he's obviously not going to be available for the 2 games against Sunderland, which are quickly coming up on us, aren't they? And that's going to be a pity.
Nick, as Gareth White's just said there, as Tim said as well, how do you place him? How do you place him when we play Sunderland?
It's going to be tough. Yeah, it is, because I just think he's just settled in so well in that position, and it's almost like the missing piece of the jigsaw, isn't it? When he wasn't playing, we just weren't quite firing, and he makes all the difference for me. He just links it all together. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does, because he is going to be a big miss for those 2 games, that's for sure.
Okay, Matt, just after we've gone 4-1 up, it was a good lesson in game management, even though there was 10 minutes of injury time.
Yeah, another time when we've had an official breakdown, and it's just bizarre that they don't have anything a bit more sort of like readily available.
Said that you'd think they'd be there and ready, almost ready to go, wouldn't you? Said that myself.
And I don't understand why, really, to be honest. I mean, what they have to do, they only have to put a bit of, I don't know, a bit of kit on, and that's it.
I think they'd be there dressed and ready to go, wouldn't you? Just sat in the stands.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but, so 10 minutes of injury time, and, we mentioned game management the other week, and it was ironic, really, that we were talking about away from home where our game management was really good, and at home it hasn't been as good, because obviously we've had late goals conceded against Plymouth and Wimbledon and 1 or 2 others. But today there was, let's be honest, I think Gillingham had, they sort of run out of ideas, haven't they, by sort of 75, 80 minutes or whatever. And it was just, I was just, the only thing I was, willing, I suppose, was when Sims turned and went through, and I was willing him to score, and it took a deflection, and the goalkeeper, I think, tipped it over as well. But apart from that, the last 10 minutes sort of, played out, and without any sort of real sort of incident as such, which is, it's what you want when you 4-1 up. I think the only person who was upset was certain people who might have had money on 5-1, Phil. Well, that was about it. Really.
That somewhere. Did he make that bet before the game?
I believe so. Yeah.
No, he didn't. It was not an in-game bet.
I was in-game. Whichever it was, it was.
I'm not having that he predicted 5-1 before.
It was quite funny though to see it, I must admit.
I predicted 3-1 pre-match, so probably I got nearer. There he is, gutted. I put it on 22 minutes. So Tim, we've made 2 subs on 85 minutes. Mitchell and Robson on for Kai and Yates. Just to kind of see the game out, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I think it's more a case of protecting them as players, because you'd be, we rely particularly on Yates so much that if we lose him, then we can't. He's the one player probably we can't replace, and so I'm sure he would have liked to have stayed on and tried to finish off his hat trick. But I think it was the right call, and rest. Again, games are going to come thick and fast, aren't they? Over the next few weeks, we've got 9 left, haven't we? 9 left in probably 5 weeks. So we haven't. There's, and hopefully another 3 to follow on from that. So it was the right call. But I mean, what I liked the most, we lost some of our attacking intent without a shadow of a doubt, but the possession football worked so well in that last 10 minutes. We kept the ball. Gillingham was chasing shadows, and it was encouraging.
They did look like a beaten team, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, you're 4-1 down away from home. That your last chance at a bit of a run at the playoffs is pretty much gone, hasn't it, with that result? And you could see, but we kept the ball, and we looked accomplished, and we saw the game out the way the game needed to be seen out. So without putting anybody at risk of injury. So very impressive.
A managerial masterclass, some may say.
It was.
Okay, let's have a look at the league tables now, or league table. Breathe it in, boys. Breathe it in. 5th. We were 4th at one point, but all the top 5 hitting form now. So look at Lincoln. They're dropping as we predicted. So it looks good, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've not played the last 2 games, have the Lincoln? So because of this COVID outbreak. Although apparently they've got, because they're next up for us, aren't they? So apparently they're going to be available for this weekend, I believe. So whether that'll be good or bad, hopefully the lack of football. Well, they weren't playing well beforehand, but hopefully the lack of football, they're going to be a bit rusty, and they're coming up against a team, the well-oiled BFC machine, that will hopefully be a little bit too much for them. But
not as well oiled as the podcast team. I'll be
no. To be honest, I can't even blame that on alcohol because I don't really have had these. But probably the most interesting thing for me is that with games in hand, that we're now we've got a 4-point cushion in the playoffs, and all the teams are on the edge. Have all played more games than us. Obviously, the first two only one more, but then obviously Gillingham played 40, so that's 3 more. And then you're getting down to Donny, who finally seems to have dropped out of the playoff spots.
Yeah, look at that record.
They seemed to stay in there forever and a day, didn't they? Notwithstanding their poor form. So I think this 3 points is a consolidation 3 points that I think, bar a catastrophe, should make sure that we reach the playoffs. I still think automatic's beyond us, but I'm sure Raggy was telling me off in one of the chats that I was being too negative in that respect. And but I think the draw between Peterborough and Sunderland helped, because I think otherwise Peterborough on 75, they would really have been too far ahead of us. I think we can only get 90 if my maths was right. I think that just them pegging us, Sunderland pegging them back in the last minute was just keeps that alive. But we'd have to win every game, and I'm not saying we can't. If we won every game, then we'd go up automatically. So we'll have to see. But I think to win another 9 games on the trot, when we look at who we've got to play, we'd have to win both those Sunderland games. And Matt's already told us that's not happening. So
yeah, I'm ahead of me. I'm ahead of my schedule though, aren't I, at the moment? So yeah, I mean, there's every chance. You just never know. I mean, this bloody team just seems to be like a juggernaut, don't they? Without the handbrake on at the moment, so you just never know what's possible out there, I guess. But yeah, I think the Lincoln game's another interesting one, because they haven't played the last couple. This Saturday coming, so they haven't played the last couple of games, or this weekend, obviously themselves, and they may have 1 or 2 missing as a result. So it'll be interesting to see if we can carry on with this fantastic away record that we seem to have at the moment.
5 on the bounce. No reason why it can't be 6 on the bounce. Right, gents, let's rate the players. Now, this is going to be, I would imagine, this will be our highest scoring average of the season. If we did stato things like that, Matt, it'd be good, wasn't it? But we don't. But start with you. Start with you, Matt, for a change. You can have Chris Maxwell. And remember that save he made.
Yeah, well, that was I mean, I mentioned before, the save he's made. It's the decision making that he does. When Gillingham did get the ball in the box, he just seemed to have glue on his gloves, and everything seemed to get stuck with him. Literally, one sort of slight error in terms of a bit of a I'm going, I'm not going, but that was it. And he must be so good to play behind as a especially as a centre half, but. I mean, he didn't put a foot wrong, really. So, is it an 8 or is it a 9? I suppose I could be harsh and give him an 8+, but I'll give him a 9 just because I'm in a good mood.
Why the hell not? For that save, he deserves a 9. Ollie Turton, Tim.
Yeah,
what can you say about him? He's up there for man of the match for me.
Very solid performance. I think, we always knew that we were going to have an aerial battle on with Gillingham today, and I think the back line in particular, that to the right, if I can put it that, and the back 4. So him, Ballard, and Thornley really stood up to the task today, and he was very. I was a little bit disappointed he did play right, but I wouldn't have. He'd have been in centre for me. That would have been the only difference. But what a performance! I think it's got to be a 9. I'd be hard pressed to give him anything less than that. To be honest, I thought he was superb.
Yeah, there was a couple of raised eyebrows, wasn't there? That Jordan Gabriel wasn't playing, but Ollie Turton. What can you say about him? But you are on Dan Ballard, centre half. Imperious is a word that regularly gets used to describe his performances, and
He was
today.
great. Real battle. I think he got a crack in the face quite early on, didn't he? In the first half, got laid out, but I think he just loves it, doesn't he? He relishes it. He's like an old-fashioned centre half in a way. He just loves a battle, and they're a physical side, but he was up for it and had a great game for me. So it's an easy 9.
Matt, the only blot on Jordan Thornley's copybook really was the build-up to the Gillingham's goal. But apart from that, he had a very good game.
Yeah, he did, and he probably tries too hard sometimes with the Hollywood pass from left to right, doesn't he? Occasionally, but equally, there's plenty of times when it comes off rather. So I thought he had a very, very good game. I don't think he was as imperious as Ballard. I thought Ballard, just to put my 2 pence in about Ballard, I thought he made the league, apart from Jerry Yates, the league's next sort of best in current form goal scorer look amateurish today. I thought he was immense. So I would say 8+ for Thornley. Like you say, just that little sort of mistake, unfortunately. But, can't argue with it, really.
Luke Garbutt, Tim saved a goal.
Yeah, he had an effective game for me. Did Luke? He was involved in a number of our goals, wasn't he? In the second that I managed to forget all about and skip straight to the third. But also,
highlight of this pod for me. That was brilliant. The Pele moment.
And also in the build up to that goal as well. So I think he might have thinking he's finish his performance off with the goal if that ball had been played through to him that I mentioned in the second half, because the form he's in, I'm fairly sure that he'd have finished it. So very, very decent performance by Luke today. I want to try and keep it real, because I think otherwise it dilutes the real stars of today. And I'm going to give it an 8+.
Yep.
But it was a quality performance.
King Kenny, Nick, after Keith Southern's title of the water carrier in that famous midfield.
Yeah, he's like I've been saying all season, him and Ward are my favourite combination in midfield. I just think they complement each other so well, and he had a very, very good game today, as he always seems to, doesn't he? And it's going to be an 8+.
Grant Ward, Matt. If I was doing a rating, I'd give it a very high rating.
Yes, yeah. I was thinking
I'd probably dishing out my first 10 of the season.
I was thinking a 5 or a 6 or something. Yeah. No, he was brilliant today. What was good about Grant Ward, apart from almost everything, was that he was really the one player specifically in midfield that when the ball, sort of fired into his midriff or whatever, he was the first one to try and get it down on the deck, wasn't he? He was the one that wanted to get control of that midfield.
More often than not.
Yeah, he did more often than not, and I thought he was exceptional. And I think if we only give out 10s occasionally, and I'm going to give him a 10 now. I thought he was fantastic today. I really did. If he got a goal, if he'd have got a goal, he'd have got 20 out of 10 or something ridiculous. But yeah, he was just awesome today. Brilliant.
Elliot Embleton, Tim.
Yeah, I thought he had I spoke about Luke Garbutt before, didn't I, about having an effective game, and I think Elliot was instrumental in that first half performance, and he then capped it off with his first goal for the club, which is fantastic. I think we found a player there. Whether we're allowed to keep him or not remains to be seen. I think a lot of that will depend on where Sunderland end up, to be honest. He's the missing. He seems to be the missing piece in the jigsaw that we've struggled to finish all season, and we've finished it just at the right time for me, and got that, and he's brought that balance to the side. I'm going 9. I think he deserved a 9. I think he was just so. He got withdrawn quite early, so we probably missed him for. He missed 30 minutes of the game, but notwithstanding that, I think that was more of a rotation decision that brought him off, and I think he will perhaps be a little bit disappointed he got hooked. But I don't think that's a reflection. I think that's more Critchley thinking, I want to keep him fit and fresh for Saturday rather than anything else. And I think that's the way he needs to look at it.
Yep.
Nick, another contender for man of the match, possibly one of his best performances of the season, Sully Kai.
Yeah, superb today. Not just his goal, you know, he was getting involved, and I know we say, you know, we talk about consistency, but it's probably why he's in League One, because if he was like that game in, game out, he'd probably be playing at a higher level. I thought he was brilliant and a well-deserved 9 for me.
That's right,
We've explained that before, mate.
It's
Tim's idea or less.
It just gives you a chance to shade it a little bit, doesn't it? Where otherwise, it's, you know, you can have an 8. You know, I think it works. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's our show, Mick. We'll do what we want. Right, Matt, Ellis Sims, best performance in a Blackpool shirt for me. I don't know if it was for you.
Yeah, arguably. I mean, the one at Charlton obviously sort of jumps out as well, I guess. But I thought he was really, really good today. And as I said at the start when we were looking at the first 11, I thought he was the one that, you know, could have possibly missed out for Demi Mitchell, perhaps. But I thought he did really well today. He was as physical, I think, as we've ever seen him, and he looked a handful and a nuisance all game. And you know, he played well whether the ball was at his feet or, you know, higher up. So yeah, I think if it had managed to score that goal with 10 minutes to go or whatever it was, then yeah, he could have been up there with another man of the match contender. But I think I think I'll give him a 9. I thought he was really good today, really good.
Vastly improved performance from Ellis Sims. And
the one thing he needs to stop doing is pushing people over. I think
I don't mind as long as it's in the right areas of the pitch. I know it's a bit petty sometimes, isn't it? But I know what you mean. You know,
I think it's just naivety, to be honest. I think a little bit.
Yeah,
he's a big lad, and he doesn't have to check his momentum sometimes, but it'll come.
Yeah, would rather he just twatted somebody instead of just pushing. Anyway, carry on.
Right, Tim, you're going to round this section off, but what can you say about this man? What can you say about him?
Yeah, I mean, he probably deserved that hat-trick today, didn't he? I think it's a pity that it didn't quite happen for him. First half, he was unplayable. I think it's up there with one of the best performances that... So Phil's making me chuckle as I'm trying to speak.
Kai fan club there. I gave him a 9, Phil. Come on.
Yeah.
9 plus.
Those of a certain vintage will only know who Ocean Colour Scene are.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a great band.
John's lost it. He's lost it.
Oh, this made me laugh. I love the those of a certain vintage quits.
He'll be getting his Mosley Shoals LP out later.
Yeah.
He was unplayable. He was all over the place, and he was involved in it. He was involved in everything, and it was. I think probably if there's a slight, it's not criticism, but he probably slightly dipped off in the second half. But I think it would be very difficult to have played that well again. I'm gonna go 9, but it's a very good 9. And he's hit the 20 goals. He's first time that's happened in 13, 14 years. 14 years, I think, in fact, if I remember it rightly. And I think there's a few more goals in him yet, and I think there's a few more 9/10 performances in him yet, and he's got the ability to lead us into the Championship this season. And I'm only desperately sad that we're not there to watch this, because we are missing some fantastic games of football at the moment, and hopefully we may get the opportunity before the end of the season to see something. But that's because he is our talisman, isn't he? He is Blackpool. And there's that fantastic. Have you got it, John? The picture.
Yep, I certainly have. There we go.
So it's become like a running. For those who don't know, it's become a running thing that he comes up with his thumbs up and for the audio, he's wearing a T-shirt that says "thumbs up" from Jerry. So
I'm gonna have to get one of them. Get me one of them.
We'll have to we'll all wear them on the next podcast.
Yeah, in fact, I'll dip into the Patreon funds and I'll buy us all one.
Yeah. You know, like, I don't know, is it more like American football where they have the big fingers, don't they? The foam fingers. We need to get foam thumbs up.
I'm working for the commercial department with brilliant ideas.
Yeah. Andrew Robbs has asked me, is it a 9-? No, it's not. It's a 9+ for Jerry.
10-.
Yeah, maybe a 10-. No, 9+. I'm saving me 10s. I think Ward. I would have given Ward 10 today, and I think you've got to keep him back for the special performances. And that was Ward's best performance in a Blackpool shirt.
Yeah, brotherly.
As Kenny, as Robbo said there, Kenny Everett, that brotherly love.
Those of a certain vintage.
Only those of a certain vintage, you know that.
There'll be a lot of Googling going on for these 20-odd-year-olds.
Kenny Everett, fucking well funny. Google him if you don't know who he is.
Yeah,
right,
PC.
What?
Very PC, wasn't he, Kenny Everett?
Oh. All done in the best possible taste, Matt. Right, man of the match. This is going to be the hardest man of the match segment we've ever done since we've hit YouTube like a sledgehammer. So, Matt, you go first.
I think it could be the easiest. I think it's Grant Ward all day long. There you go.
Tim.
I thought Ballard was immense, and on another day he'd have walked it. I thought Yates was immense, and another day he'd have walked it. And I think Kai was immense, and another day would have walked it. But it's Grant Ward, who was unbelievably good. It was we keep using these expressions, don't we? It's a consummate performance by him, and if he plays like that for the rest of the season, Yates plays like that, if Ballard plays like that, and the rest of the team do, then we who knows where we're going to end up? But we're definitely going to be in the playoffs, and we're definitely going to be the team that everybody else wants to avoid. In fact, my Macca mate, I think I sent it around in the podcast group, didn't I? He said they're concerned that they've got to play us twice yet, which says everything that you need to know about what other teams think about us at this stage of the season.
Nick.
Yeah, it's Grant Ward for me as well. There's a few who are very, very, very close to it with 9s and 9+, and like the guys have said on another day, did a comfortably be man of the match. It's a cigarette paper, but it's just Ward for me. I thought he was absolutely superb.
Okay, Phil makes a great point here. Ward kept it simple, but kind of scored the second and made the fourth.
Yeah, you got to win the ball first.
Come on, make Phil's day, John.
Go on, Phil. Do you know, Phil? I was going to go Ward with Kai ever so slightly behind him, but you've changed my mind there, and he's right. He scored.
I think it's nice.
Scored and he's made the fourth.
It's nice.
I'm splitting hairs here.
Yeah,
I'll give it Kai.
We're talking probably at least 4 players, really, and they're all the spine of the team generally, aren't they, as well? And it's just nice, isn't it? We weren't too long back. We were arguing over people with 6 out of 10s and whatever, and this is what you want, isn't it?
Do you remember that show when we gave every single one of them a 5?
Yeah. So it's fantastic. What a turnaround, really is.
Right, I think we're done, ladies and gentlemen. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the notification. Gets us out there. When we come in next then, so we've got watch the third tier, which is happening in 45 minutes. I'm not bothering with it this evening because I've done too much. So third tier is on 8 o'clock. It's now on its own YouTube channel. So if you want to go and watch that, it's got Matt from Jules in the Blood. So Tom can take the piss out of a Gillingham fan on there. So
interesting to get his take on it as well, won't it? Because he's great, is Matt in the way that his analysis and his approach. And he's very honest. So I might just tune in just to listen to him, to be honest, because his perspective of the game will be a good one to listen to. Certainly will. Right, so what have we got? Lincoln, is it Lincoln away? Did we say on?
Yeah. Lincoln away on Saturday.
Scrafton's team.
It is.
Just quickly, John. Steve Hutchins asked manager rating. Quickly.
Oh yes. Sorry, thanks, Steve. Yep. Quickly then, round the room, Matt, manager rating.
Steve Evans will be about 240 over 120 blood pressure tonight. So that's a 10 from Critchley, I reckon.
Tim, Matt. So Tim. Oh, pissed. Tim.
Yeah. Bearing in mind how concerned I was beforehand, but machinator extraordinaire, Mr. Critchley stepped forward.
Hang on, what? Hang on. Oh, shit. Got one in just before the end. Brilliant, Tim. Brilliant.
Machinator extraordinaire. 10 out of 10. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a 10 from me as well. What a day.
10 as well. The ultimate performance, the performance of the season for me. It doesn't get any better than that. So well done, Coach Critchley, and long may it continue. So yeah, so thanks ever so much for joining us. Do like and subscribe to the show if you've not done so already. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us this evening. Do watch the third tier. Again, it's on its own YouTube channel now, so search it up. We'll see you for the Lincoln preview on Friday. So that's coming back. And the Match Reaction show will be back next Saturday. So thanks for joining us, Matt.
No problem. You're welcome. Always good.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for that last-minute Timism. You had to get it in just before the end, so well done.
Alfie's just asked, what? Question mark. Google is your friend, Alfie.
What's he referring to there?
The Timism at the end.
The machinator. He's a
The
WWE
machinator.
referee.
Right, anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading Up the Pool.
The pool.
Up the pool.